We start to, yes, yeah, broadcast. Now we can, Ms. Chair, Madam Chair, you can start the meeting anytime. Thanks.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone's patience. Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Gelgore. I'm the chair of the Compliance Audit Committee. I'm joined today by my fellow committee members, Lawrence D'Souza and Ramin Faraji. The committee administrator has confirmed that we do have quorum, so I'll now call meeting 13 of the Compliance Audit Committee to order. Welcome, everyone. Today's meeting is being held with committee members, city staff, and parties participating, both by video conference and in person, at City Hall in Committee Room 1. City Hall is open to the public, and anyone is welcome to attend the meeting at City Hall today. The public may continue to participate electronically by video conference. The meeting is also being live streamed online at www.youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. I ask everyone for their patience with any delays and technical issues. I'd also like to ask everyone to please keep your microphones on mute unless you're speaking, and members, please ensure that your video is turned on at all times. I am hearing a little bit of background noise, and so if I would just remind everyone to please put their microphones on mute. Thank you. As part of each agenda item, I'll ask members to raise their hand or unmute their mic if they wish to ask questions or speak. And when voting, members, please raise your hand in front of your camera to indicate your vote. I'm still hearing some background noise, so hopefully we can deal with that. Thank you. Although we are in different locations and meeting remotely today, the Compliance Audit Committee acknowledges the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Members, are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? If you do have an interest, please raise your hand and unmute your mic to let me know. I'm not seeing any, so we will continue. I'd like a motion to confirm the minutes of the meeting of October 7th. I'm looking to members. Member D'Souza, thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And the motion carries. At this time, I understand that we are going into, we're going out of public session as we will have a motion. And so I would look to city staff here is the motion. Thank you. And the motion is that the Compliance Audit Committee recesses public session to meet in closed session to deliberate in private on personal matters about an identifiable individual. If I could have somebody move the motion. Member D'Souza, thank you. All those in favor? All right, and the motion passes. And so at this time, I would ask city staff to temporarily close the meeting to members of the public and to only provide access to members and appropriate staff for the closed session portion of the meeting. And the live stream portion will be paused.
Madam Chair, the meeting has been recorded and the meeting has also been broadcasted. You can start anytime. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We have completed our closed session. We are now back in public session. And at this time, I would ask city staff to display a motion. And I will read the motion. Motion is that as a preliminary matter, the Compliance Audit Committee, the committee consider the request and approve the request to redact personal information of the candidate Lorenzo Berardinetti, the candidate contained in the compliance audit report, the report, and the presentation slide deck, the presentation from BDO Canada LLP, the auditor who conducted a review of the election campaign finances of the candidate, and B, the candidate's written submission in part, dated November 8th, 2024, paragraph 2, the committee has a strong interest in ensuring that hearings are open to the public. However, the principle of open hearings must be balanced with the competing interest of protecting privacy and security of any person. Paragraph 3, in this matter, to protect the candidate's personal information and in accordance with Section 9 of the Statutory Powers Procedures Act, the committee has approved that redacting the following information from any hearing document and keeping it confidential will cause no prejudice to the public. If I could ask city staff just to scroll up, please, so that we can see the specific items. Can you scroll up a little bit further, please? Thank you. So in the report, pages 4 and 5, there's a sentence in the approach section and a sentence in the candidate's response. In the presentation, slides 6 and 7, bullet 1 on each of those pages. And lastly, in the candidate's written submission dated November 8th, 2024, sections of that submission. May I have a member bringing forward that motion, please? Member Faraji, thank you. All in favor? And the motion passes. Thank you. At this time, I'll now outline the procedure and format of the committee meeting. We do have one item on the agenda, which is a compliance audit application. The procedure is as follows for item EA 13.1, compliance audit report for the City of Toronto regarding Mr. Lorenzo Berardinetti. This report was prepared by Peter Hearn, BDO Canada LLP. Mr. Hearn will present the findings of the report. Following this presentation, the committee members will have the opportunity to ask questions of the auditor. If present, the applicant for the compliance audit report and the candidate will have the opportunity to speak to this item. They'll be given sufficient time to address the application. After each speaker, compliance audit committee members will have an opportunity to ask questions. If the committee decides it needs to meet in closed session to deliberate in private, I'll move a motion to close the meeting, at which point members of the public and media will be moved into the WebEx lobby or asked to leave the room and will be readmitted once the committee resumes in public session. After we've completed our closed session discussion, we will resume in public and the committee will make the decision at that time. Do either of the committee members have any motions to bring forward? All right, seeing none, then we will proceed. And I would turn it over to Auditor Peter Hearn for his presentation. Mr. Hearn, we're not hearing you or seeing your presentation.
Yes, sorry, I'm just waiting for the redacted version to be.
Oh, understood. Certainly.
So this is our report on the municipal election compliance audit of the campaign finances of candidate Lorenzo Berardinetti. The Compliance Audit Committee met on July the 19th, 2023 to hear item EA 3.3, the compliance audit application of Kevin Weiner for a compliance audit of the election campaign finances of respondent Lorenzo Berardinetti. The committee granted the application to conduct a compliance audit of the election campaign finances of Lorenzo Berardinetti in accordance with section 88.33, clause 7 and 10 of the Act. The Compliance Audit Committee met on November the 10th, 2023 to hear item EA 5.1, the appointment of external auditors by the Compliance Audit Committee. BDO Canada LLP was appointed as one of the audit firms to conduct compliance audits of election campaign finances of candidates or third-party advertisers during the 2022 to 2026 term of office. BDO was formally assigned to undertake a compliance audit of the 2022 municipal election campaign finances of Lorenzo Berardinetti in a letter dated November 16, 2023, signed by the Deputy City Clerk. The candidate filed his nomination for election as councillor for Ward 20, Scarborough South West, on June the 6th, 2022, in the election to be held on October the 24th, 2022. The candidate was not elected in that election. Lorenzo Berardinetti, the candidate, did not comply with the requirements of the Municipal Elections Act 1996 in that he did not file a copy of the financial statement, Auditor's Report Candidate Form 4, as stated by Kevin Weiner, by the required filing deadline of March 31st, 2023, as set out in section 88.25. Under section 88.25, clause 1 of the Act, all candidates who filed a nomination paper must also file a financial statement reflecting their election campaign finances from the date they filed their nomination up to 45 days after voting day, in the case of a by-election. Under section 88.2, clause 1 of the Act provides the compliance standards for record-keeping, reporting, and related duties. Our audit approach, we made multiple attempts to contact the candidate using the contact information provided by the candidate to the City of Toronto in the candidate's original nomination form, as described below. We sent a registered letter to the address provided on the candidate's nomination form. The letter and all subsequent letters included an explanation of the Compliance Audit Committee's decision to grant an audit and our request for the candidate provide the campaign financial statement, and all supporting documentation for the 2022 municipal election. The letter was undelivered and subsequently returned to our offices by the courier. We sent an email on 2 separate occasions to the email address provided on the candidate's nomination form, which included the above letter as an attachment. We did not receive a response, and we called the telephone number provided on the candidate's nomination form. The automated machine response indicated that the number was unassigned. Having been unsuccessful in contacting the candidate through the previous methods, we looked into alternative contact methods. Through a review of what appeared to be a website set up by the candidate to publicize his book, BDO identified an address in Ajax. However, upon further research, BDO identified that this was an address of a UPS location. Through a review of the Toronto's property records, BDO identified a property located in Scarborough, registered the candidate's name. We sent a letter to both of these addresses. We did not receive a response to the letter sent to the Ajax location. However, we received a call from the individual that received the letter to the Scarborough address who stated that they were the same name as the candidate but were a different person. On July 18th, 2024, we engaged with an investigative services firm to assist in locating the candidate. The investigative services also provided the candidate with the auditor's appointment letter from the City Clerk's office indicating that BDO had been assigned to the candidate compliance audit. Upon being contacted by the investigative service firm, the candidate called myself to discuss the letter and explain his current personal situation. The candidate stated that he was aware that the penalty for not submitting his campaign financial statement was that he would be ineligible to be elected until after the next regular election. As a result, he chose not to file his financial statement as he indicated he did not fundraise and he had no intention of running as a candidate in the City of Toronto election 2026. Our overall findings: The candidate did not comply with the requirement of the Act in that he did not file a copy of the financial statement by the required filing deadline of March 31st, 2023, or by the extended filing deadline of May 1st, 2023, as set out in Section 88.25. The candidate did not comply with requirements Section 88.22, Clause G, H, I, J, K, L, M of the Act, as he stated he was unable to provide any records that could support his campaign finances. The basis for the applicant's compliance audit application was evidence of the candidate's campaign website, www.lorenzoberardinetti.com, which suggests that at a minimum, the candidate would have incurred expenses to purchase the domain and host the website. The candidate would have had to receive sufficient contributions to cover the above expenses, either by self-contribution, individual contributors, or fundraising activities. As a consequence of the candidate not complying with the requirements of Section 88.22, Clause G, H, I, J, K, L, M of the Act, it was not possible to readily determine the extent to which, if any, there were any additional contributions and expenses, or determine the candidate's compliance with Section 88.2 A, B, C, D, E, F, G, N, O, P, Q, R. In addition, BDO was unable to determine the candidate's compliance with Section 88.34, Clause 4, in which, if there was a surplus, the candidate is to pay the surplus to the clerk upon filing their financial statement. And this is just screenshots of the candidate's website. And that is the end of our presentation.
Thank you very much. Compliance Audit Committee members, do you have any questions in relation to the presentation? No, seeing none, we can now turn to the applicant and the candidate. Is Mr. Weiner present?
Through you, Madam Chair, no, he is not.
Okay, in that case, we can proceed to the candidate. And I understand that in addition to the written submission that you provided, you do have a verbal presentation. And I just remind you that this meeting is public. Sorry, I believe you're still on mute.
Sorry about that. I was going to add a few things. I know that there was a mention of a campaign office. I never used it. What happened was I have a doctor and he had some extra space. And when I went to ask on the phone number, there's a new owner of the campaign office. So she allowed me to use the office, but I only put a sign on the top. I only went inside to look at it, but I never set up an office. For example, I never had a campaign manager. I never had a campaign team, in other words. And I think, I think it's explained in the 10 points. I mean, I just can't function properly because the seizures I keep having all the time. So, as you can see in the points that I listed there in my presentation, I mean, if you want me to read it into the record, I will. The 10 points.
No, that's not necessary. And in fact, we have redacted portions of that so that they will not be in the public record so that we can preserve your privacy and confidentiality. But the city does have it, so there's no need for you to read it.
Okay, well, that was the basic part of my presentation. I think if you read the notes, it's pretty straightforward. Okay.
Thank you. And thank you for submitting the supplementary information. We do appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Members of the Compliance Audit Committee, do you have any questions for the candidate?
No, I don't.
No? Okay. Thank you. And thank you to the auditor for your report. At this time, I would ask for a motion to go into closed session, and I would ask city staff to display the motion, please. And it reads that the Compliance Audit Committee recess its public session to meet in closed session to deliberate in private on item EA 13.1 Compliance Audit Report for the City of Toronto regarding Lorenzo Berardinetti, and to receive advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. Can I have someone move that motion, please? Member Faraji, thank you. All in favor, please raise your hand in front of the camera, and the motion has passed. At this time, I would ask the clerk to temporarily close the meeting to members of the public and to only provide access to members and appropriate staff for the closed session portion of the meeting. In addition, the live stream portion, the YouTube live stream will be suspended until the closed session is over. And members, I would remind you to arrange your surroundings so that no other person observes any part of the closed session discussion.
Madam Chair, you can start anytime now. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We have completed our closed session deliberations, and at this time, I'll ask the clerk to please display the motion on the screen. I'll only read the final decision. The full content will be available on the City of Toronto website. The Compliance Audit Committee has decided not to commence legal proceedings. I'd like to thank both the candidate for his supplementary submissions, as well as the auditor for the work in preparing the audit. Can I get somebody to move the motion, please? Member Faraji, thank you. All in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you very much. This concludes the meeting for today, and we are adjourned.
Thank you. Can I leave or?
Yes, you're free to leave.